Welcome to episode 257 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent and Jason here. And this week we've got a great interview with Mike Mostert. We actually recorded this probably 2 months ago now.
Yeah, before the world started ending.
Yeah, even before that, we had a few backlogged.
Yeah,
and
that's
then everything kind of happened, and then this got pushed back. But we haven't even done an episode. Well, we haven't sat down and recorded an episode in like 5 weeks.
Right.
I think it was the final week of February. And then our most recent episode, the Ozzy episode, came out the first week of March. Here we are, three weeks later, I guess.
Right.
4 weeks, I don't know, whatever it is now.
As everybody knows, I mean, it's been nuts.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. I don't even know what to say.
Well, first question I got for you is...
Was what?
Have you seen any good concerts lately?
Fuck you.
Okay.
That was fucked up, man.
Right.
What you just said. No, I have not. None of us have.
Right.
It's just crazy, and it's made me a fucking neurotic mess. I don't usually fucking let shit like this get to me, but it's weird. Fuck. I got shitty with you a fucking week or two ago. I don't know. Fuck. It's just crazy, so, we just gotta navigate through the best we know how. I don't know.
Yeah. Just like everybody else.
Yeah, what can we say that everyone hasn't even said, or hasn't been said already about all this?
Yeah, we're not here with breaking news at all.
No, yeah.
We're just here to talk like we normally do.
Yeah, because what the fuck else you just gotta go.
Right. Well, before we get into some talk, we're going to tell you, as we always do, who our sponsors are. One of our sponsors is MedFarm, and they are a dispensary that's located at 24683 East Highway 51. That's just about less than a quarter mile past Anita Road, right off Highway 51. And yes, like most businesses, you're like, are they open? They are. They have a drive-through window.
Yeah, that's what I thought was really cool, because the place used to be a fucking Daylight Donuts.
Yeah.
And it had a drive-through window already built in. So,
cannabis on the go.
Drive up for all your medicinal purposes. It fucking works out.
That's a great deal, and that works out great for them, which I'm sure a lot of these other dispensaries around town don't have a drive-through, so that's even more of a reason. But the biggest reason that we always tell you need to go to MedFarm, besides their great products and great people, is the fact that their slogan is Cannabis with a Cause, because 30% of their proceeds are going to help build no-kill animal shelters. And they've got a site that's already set with the building on it, and it's being worked on. Should be up and running sometime this year. And that's a huge, great deal, which is a great reason to come out and support these guys. You can get 10% off your order if you mention Thunder Underground. You can text them your order. Get on their Facebook, which is MedFarm PHARM, to find all the details how to text or order ahead of time, or you can just go through the drive-thru like normal. Their Instagram is at MedFarmOK, and their website is medfarmok.com, and you can see all their products listed on Leafly as well, leafly.com. So huge thank you to MedFarm as always. And we've also got DEB Concerts. They've got several concerts coming up.
Yes, they do. So
far, the only one that's had to be rescheduled was Texas Hippie Coalition, which was originally scheduled for
420.
Yeah, aptly.
Right.
For THC. But that will now be happening. 420 will now be happening on June 26th.
Okay.
That show will be hosted by Lynn Hernandez, and it features Sweatin' Bullets and Poster Child.
Nice.
Poster Child is a great band. You need to get out there and check this show out. That'll be a great one. That's at the IDL Ballroom, like the majority of all DEB shows. Then, on Saturday, July 11th, we've got the New Metal Revival. This will feature Saliva, Powerman 5000, Edema, Flaw, and Andrew W. Boss.
There you go.
And that will be at the IDL Ballroom as well. So, if you're a fan of late 90s, early 2000s new metal, this is the show for you. Yeah. Powerman 5000, I will tell you, is excellent live. So, that's the draw for me there, definitely. But I know all these bands are good, so get out there, check that out. And then, July 13th, just 2 days later, at the BOK Center, Poison will be headlining a show that will also feature Tom Kiefer, and Sebastian Bach. So right there, you've got 3 of the voices that defined a generation.
Can you imagine an arena show back then with Poison, Cinderella, and Skid Row?
Yeah, I would have shit my pants.
Holy crap.
Or as you like to say, took a shit out my dick.
Out of your dick, not on your... You're weird.
No, that's what
you're
say.
Into some weird shit. Took a shit out of your dick, not on your dick. That's fucking... I need to fucking get out of here.
Yeah.
I thought I knew you. Jesus.
Right. My apologies to DEP for throwing that in the middle of their
You're
promo
into some
here.
weird shit, Trent.
But that show, I believe, will be hosted by Eddie Trunk. And that, of course, like I said, is at the BOK Center July 13th. That's the one we've been talking about for quite a while, that they have another BOK show coming. So glad that they're got another arena show.
Yes, definitely.
Then, of course, also, they booked all the acts at Rocklahoma, which is Memorial Day weekend. As of now, it hasn't been canceled or rescheduled. We're guessing that might happen at this rate, but if it doesn't, regardless of what happens, DEB booked these bands for the Roadhouse stage, which features Warrant and Bullet Boys and Hurricane Alice on the pre-party. Lynch Mob, Liliac, and John Five and the Creatures headline the other nights on the Roadhouse stage. And there's a ton of other great acts. If you get on debconcerts.com, you can check out all that. You can also buy tickets there for all these shows. So huge thank you to DEB Concerts. All right. So before we get into this, I mean, is there anything to talk? I mean, we could talk about a million different things, but right off the top, let's say we're going to do a live stream.
Yes.
Thursday night.
And I think that's where we're going to that's kind of all the ideas I'm kind of putting towards that.
Yeah.
So I think.
I just wanted to throw out, something we're going to talk about there anyway, just in case someone listens to this and doesn't listen to that.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you all know that a lot of people think if they know a band's name, if I've heard of a band, man, these guys are freaking millionaires. Like, say for instance, I'm not talking about Metallica or Def Leppard or Motley Crue. I'm talking about Crowbar or Seven Dust or those bands, Corrosion Conformity.
Yeah,
those bands at that that kind of middle level.
Yeah, what is it? Jamie Jost always used to say the cruising altitude.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe
Yeah, and these bands have had success, but as the music business changed, the majority of the money they make now is off of touring. And when they tour and when they sell merchandise. And obviously that's not something they can do now for the foreseeable future, next several months at least. So if you have a band you love, or if you're scrolling through Facebook and see a band that's, selling t-shirts or selling, hey, you can talk to someone for $20 for 30 minutes. I've seen stuff like that, all kinds of different stuff, do it. If you've got the money to do it, I know there's other people hurting as well, but I'm just saying that's a great way to support music in this time being.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a great point. None of these guys are millionaires. Think about it. They're all working class dudes like all of us. Yeah. I mean, really, when you get down to it, it's just their work is in a bus or a van and in a club. Like you mentioned COC. Pepper Keenan, for God's sakes, does a million different things when he's not on the road.
Yeah.
He runs a bar. He fucking renovates houses. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, and a lot of these dudes are the same way. They do the same kind of things. And so, throw them enough to pay an electric bill or something. I mean, it all helps out. It all works.
Yeah. And same thing with, venues and clubs and in our area or whatever area you're listening to this in. Here in the Tulsa area, there's some great venues like the Venue Shrine and the Vanguard, Blackbird on Pearl, that feature a lot of not just national acts, but they promote local acts as well, which is a lot of cities, few and far between. And I think for the size of our city, we've got a decent amount of places that support local. First Shop is another one. And a lot of these are starting to do things like, I think that the Shrine was doing something similar to what Gas Monkey was doing, where you could pay $100 and they give you a punch card.
Exactly.
And you can go to 10 shows no matter how much the cost was. That was the Gas Monkey. I don't know if the Shrine was a little different, but the Shrine also did the survival pack that you bought and I bought.
Yeah. So they're doing, all these places are doing different things to make ends meet. So if you can, help them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Do we want to hold talking about everything else till our live stream?
I think
try
so.
to get people over there. We're going to talk about
Yep.
some Me and That Man, some Body Count.
Right.
You know, of course, more about what we just talked about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're going to touch on all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So tune into that. Get on our Facebook page for the exact time. We haven't settled on the exact time. It'll be Thursday evening, 6 or 7 around that time.
Yep.
So get on there and check it out. All right. So, like I said, we recently did this interview here with Mike Mostert, and we had played the song She's Gone here a few months ago, last fall, I think, when it first came out. And there's an album called Mike Mostert and the GoGo Tuner Family album. And basically, Mike Mostert is the owner of GoGo Tuners, and he's also a great guitarist. And he talks about it here in this interview, but he assembled a cast of guys that, you know, are GoGo Tuner users and that perform with his products and just made an album. And it's spans the gamut of styles, and it's like he talks about, it's got artists from genres playing other genres. You've got, you know, everything from blues to metal, and it's a great diverse album, and I dig it.
Yeah, it's it's a cool way to promote what you got going on in your product, and it's unique.
Yeah. Yeah, and he talked about that the band In Theory, which is the kind of collective band that was recording some of these songs before he brought in all the guests, he was working on new music. He had said, I believe in an interview, I haven't listened to it since recorded, but I think he said April, so that might obviously change now with everything going on.
Yeah.
But still, we should hear new music from them again later this year probably, so be on the lookout for that. But in the meantime, let's get into this. This is Mike Mostert. I saw you were at a NAMM recently. Were you out there representing GoGo Tuners, or were you just attending it?
I was doing several things. So I own several companies. So I own GoGo Tuners, excuse me, and I also own a repping company, and represent several brands on the West Coast. And then I also with a Chinese tech company. Also a senior VP with those guys, and I'm trying to launch a newer technology into the United States with those guys. So I was doing some meetings with those folks out there, and then meeting a lot of my GoGo guys.
Kind of jumping into the album. I mean, where did the idea for making an album, you know, kind of with your family of artists?
Well, that was like a several year process, but fast forward to making the record, I decided, you know what, what about making a GoGo roster record? And I started going down the list of the guys on the roster, and everybody was a resounding yes, we're in. And initially I was just going to maybe play guitar on a couple of tracks, and really had a little bit more of the R's, and just take a different role. By the time I got to the 7th or 8th person, they're like, well, do you want to write? And then also light bulb went off. I'm like, well, you know what? Yeah, let's write. So I ended up co-writing or writing every song, and then producing the record, and then playing guitar in all the songs with the artists, and making a true collaborative effort.
Was this quite a arduous process getting all these guys together, or and compiling the songs, or did it go smoothly?
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's we always try to make it seem smooth, but it's definitely far from smooth, as you know, because everybody has a different schedule, and everybody's in different parts of the world, and it was really important for me that I was there for every part of it, and I was really trying to create, I'm not sure if you guys are also players as well, but there's a certain interaction when you're playing with somebody versus just sending your tracks over. Obviously today, like the technology is so good that people are like, okay, send me your tracks and I'll play some tracks over it. In this case, I was trying to get as many people in the same room together. And even for the recording process of this, I had to fly to Mexico, Nashville, Muscle Shoals, different parts of LA, New York, Philly, Virginia. Whenever an artist had a day free or a few hours free, I was on the plane to make it happen.
Were there any of the songs that you were able to get everybody in the same spot, or was most of it done that way where you're working with like one artist in the studio and then going somewhere else to work with another one?
There's a couple of songs on there by a band was created within the record. As that band's called In Theory, and that's a little bit more of a hard rock metal band. But that's, I would say, a little bit less collaborative. That's a real rock band within the record. I'm not sure. Have you guys had a chance to listen to that one yet? Or
yes.
In Theory songs?
Yes.
And with that group, that's the group that we're actually trying to launch, off the record and, make it a current hard rock band or current metal band. And with that band, we definitely had a lot of rehearsals with those guys and recorded in the same place, rehearsing in the same place. And so with the In Theory is the closest thing to that, making it a real band. And it just keeps evolving from what I can see.
Is that something you think, so In Theory could potentially put out an album on your own here down the line?
Yeah, that's the next goal. In fact, we start working on the tracks for that starting in April.
Okay.
And that we're actually going to record the entire record in Muscle Shoals. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the history of Muscle Shoals.
Oh yeah.
So basically what we're going to try to do is, there's been such an evolution from the start of the record to where we are now. And I brought the singer down from In Theory maybe like 3 weeks ago, and I started experimenting with different chord voicings and different things. And we were able to actually record with them. You know who the Swappers are?
No.
Okay. Obviously, Muscle Shoals has probably been about 2 billion records sold out of Muscle Shoals.
Oh yeah.
But there's these guys, these 4 or 5 guys, called the Swappers, and they were the sidemen or the band for almost all those records. That dates back from the mid '60s up until, even currently. And two of the Swappers died last year. So there's only 2 original Swappers left. And these are the guys who created Aretha Franklin sound and created Carole King and Percy Sledge and Wilson Puckett. But the list just goes on, and playing with the Allman Brothers and even Lynyrd Skynyrd and even newer bands like Rival Sons. It's just amazing who these guys play with. It will blow your mind of who these guys play with. And so I was able to reach out to one of the Swappers. His name is Spooner. He was the keyboardist for actually creating Aretha Franklin sound. And I said, look, I got this idea. I got the singer from In Theory. I got the cellist from France. And then myself. And we remade a couple of songs that are on the GoGo record that are essentially they're the songs from In Theory. But now I made it a little bit more swampier. It doesn't really go to blues, but it's like a swampy, eerie type of thing. It's almost like you would almost hear, I don't know, like a Nirvana meets Soundgarden, but with a different type of singer almost. There's a cool little vibe we were able to create with that. And, and of course it's historic because, they don't, obviously there's only 2 left and they don't really play out and they rarely record with anybody. So to have him come down, and this was just so much fun for him to do. It wasn't lost on my eyes that this was something of historic nature to do.
Right.
And So a couple of those tracks we're actually putting it as a bonus track on the physical copy of the GoGo record.
Okay. Well, speaking of the other people that weren't part of your GoGo roster, like some of the vocalists or the drummers, keyboards, etc., like how'd you go about seeking them out and bringing them together to be a part of this project?
A lot of them were just I call it friends of family, or family of the friends, and each one's a little bit slightly different. So as far as like that song, like the blues song, it was a little bit of fluke. It was this drummer that I'd just known for a long time. And now he plays with, out of all things, he plays with Frankie Valli, and he plays with Missing Persons, and he also he's done a couple tours with Sebastian Bach as well. And I just happened to run into him in California at a drum party. And he was asking me, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm working on this record. He goes, can I? And when I told him the whole concept of what I was really trying to create with this record, he's like, I'm in. Can I do it? And then from there, we also had some mutual friends who are the people involved with, they play with Stevie Wonder, they play with Jennifer Lopez. So because of, we're all friends, got them involved. And it just seems like it was one connection after another. Everybody's sort of connected.
Writing different styles or genres, does that come natural for you, or is there a style that you kind of gravitate towards?
That definitely did not come natural for me. No, it's far from it. I'm a rock metal guy, and that's why, like I said, when we put out "The In Theory" as our first single, that was just natural for me. Is stepping into old shoes to some degree, but it's. The earlier stuff, a long time ago, Tony and I were signed to EMI Records, but we wanted to do something different, like a little bit more of a modern twist on it. But writing the other genres, I knew I needed to have variety on the record, and basically, I just immersed myself into these other styles, and plus, I'm also a fan of all music, but naturally, I'm a rock guy, or that's what I grew up listening to. But I am a big blues fan. I am a jazz fan, of all genres. So, but naturally, I would say, I'm a rock guy. But it definitely wasn't easy. So yeah, and then as the record was evolving, it was sort of like I was trying to piece a puzzle. Like, what do we need to, for a variety's sake, let's do a pop song. Let's do, a ballad. Let's do, like an R&B type of song. Just because I felt that's what the record needed. And then I would just, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And thank God we were able to pull it off.
Well, on those songs that weren't rock songs like the pop or the blues or R&B, did you bring in the artists that were involved with that to write with you, or did you write them just with them in mind and then have them add their take on it once they started recording?
No. What I did is I tried to put in a whole different process for everybody. For the majority of the record, most of the people are playing on their genre, or playing on the, say, like an R&B genre, or like a good example would be, let's say, like on the blues track, or even a good example is that metal. Did you listen to the GoGo Shred song?
Yes.
Which is that guitar instrumental. Now with that, like basically what I was trying to do is not necessarily put somebody. It wasn't really about making people uncomfortable. I want to expose these artists to different fan bases, and that I also knew that they were fans of. They were, because I know that a lot of metal guys and rock guys are fans of blues artists or jazz artists, but they make a living playing rock or metal. So they don't really get to explore that because either the record company or the fans will keep them in that little, box. But they have a deep passion for all these other music, that they never really get to explore. So like, say for instance, on the GoGo Shred song, I took the bass player. He was the bass player for Spyro Gyra and Herb Albert. So again, he's like a Latin Jaco Pastorius. he doesn't know even what song he's playing on. And I did that to every artist. They didn't know they didn't know what they were walking into.
Oh wow!
So on the GoGo Shred one, he's opening up with this like a little funk jazz thing, and then on the track, it's like, and where else would you hear this type of thing? You got a Latin Jaco Pastorius, but with or teaming up with I have the guitar player from Ice-T's bands. I got Ernie from Ice-T. I have Jordan from Rat. I have Johnny Highland. I'm not sure if you know who Johnny is, but Johnny is the chicken picking king.
Yeah.
And then I close the show. I do the very last solo. But again, most fans of Johnny know the Snow and That's a chicken picker. But because I know Johnny quite well, a lot of people don't realize that Johnny was on Steve Vai's label when he was a teenager. So he's a metal guy, and man, the guy's, he's just a killer. So to have and originally he was it's funny, after hearing Jordan's track, he's like, "You sure you want me on this metal track? This other one's a little bit more like what I do." I'm like, "No, you'll be perfect." And same thing with the Latin Jaco Pastorius guy. He's like, "Really? You want me to play on a metal track?" He goes, "I'm known for that." I'm like, "No, it'll be perfect." And I really did that with everybody, even on that blues song. Her name is Morgan Miles. She's more like a country pop singer, and working with her in one of my GoGo interviews, I know she has this like third or fourth gear. Like she has this like a Beth Hart. She's got like a Janis Joplin, chops to her. But I also think that her country bass and her record companies keep her like in a pop type of feel, and so for her to go and do like this Janis Joplin over the top blues vocal, it was for me, it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
And then and then same thing on that same track, say on the blues track, I had this bass player for this band called Mana. I'm not sure if you know who those guys are, but
I've seen that name, yeah.
So Mana, again, it's funny. I always get that reaction. Not always, but Mana is the equivalent of the Police of the U2 from Mexico, and they've sold probably about 70 or 80 million records. and to show you actually how big these guys are, they actually hold the record for selling out Madison Square Garden faster than any band in history. And even this past year, they put out a record. I mean, they went on tour. They sold out 9 shows at the LA Forum this past year.
Wow.
And it's like, again, it's like you ask a lot of people, like, who are they? But anyway, so the bass player from that group is on 3 of the songs. So I had him on a blues song. So what I was trying to accomplish was like a unique collaboration. It's like, how would a Latin rock guy approach a blues song? How would a country pop girl sing on a blues song? How would Johnny Highland approach a metal song? And so I was trying to accomplish a lot of unique collaborations.
And is that kind of how you decided who played, like, on GoGo Shred, for instance, how do you decide who plays which part, Just kind of to speak to that.
Some of it I already knew, like, where Jordan's part was going to fit and where Johnny's part was going to fit, I already knew. But where Ernie was going to fit from Ice-T's band, I wasn't sure, because Ernie plays a completely different style. And I was like, okay, where am I going to fit Ernie? And so I was able to put him in 2 spots of the song. And originally I was just going to do, a little bit of the soloing. But I think the metal gods were smiling on me that day, and I was able to hit all the right notes. So I ended up doing the last solo of the song, and so that's how that came about. But I think for one night I was able to bring out my inner shred in the old school way.
So was everybody? I mean, you kind of mentioned it with several of them, but was everybody completely open to doing that, like stepping outside of their box, basically?
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody was so excited to do it, and I think that's sort of the. Not necessarily the secret sauce behind it, but it was, I think for them, it was almost like, when you first start playing, it was just about that. It was just getting to really just express yourself just because you love doing music. You weren't doing it for the record company. You weren't doing it for the money. You were doing it for, you just want to play. And so again, like I was telling these people, just a different concept. I said, I'm not going to let you know what the song is until you're there. And like you said, everybody was like, yeah, I'm there, So I think everybody was just so excited, and I think their passion comes through. And yeah, it was a lot of excitement. So.
Well, being the producer and you're involved in, playing on every song and writing all the songs, you kind of got to bring your vision to life. Like, how much did the other artists bring to certain songs that maybe you didn't foresee beforehand?
I think they all gave a lot. Basically, I think looking back, first of all, I had to thank them for. They trusted my vision. Like I said, I call it the Mike Madness. Where like whatever I was hearing at the end, I knew I was trying to get a certain sound. So I think for them to trust me in that role, was a big thing. But actually, I just lost my train of thought here. So if you can ask me the question again.
Well, I was just wondering if any of the artists kind of brought in, something to their songs that you might not have saw beforehand as part of your vision.
Yeah. So to reiterate, yes, I would say that they all did. And it was a very cool experience because I got to see, like, we were all trying to get to a certain, people, like, when they hear a song, there's a thing that they're all trying to accomplish, right? They're trying to hear a certain thing, but how they get there is quite different. Depending on your mood, depending on your technique, depending on your music theory. It could also depend on your mood of the day. But to see that the creative mind in everybody's mind was really different. So to see how they approach a song it was such an eye-opening experience. And as much as I had to be a producer and say like project leader and lead this thing, I was also learning as well. And there was so many, what I call like light bulbs or aha moments when, like you said, somebody would play a guitar lick, or also I would hear, Morgan on the blues song sing something. I go, wow, okay. And because she sang it this way, then I would actually go back to the bass player and say, you know what, let's change up this bass thing. Or, now it needs this different guitar part. Or now we have to change. There was actually a couple of tracks where I just took the drummer off and put a brand new drummer on it because the way the new guitar parts were. Or I thought the bass player was playing something that was quite different than the original feel that I thought would be better. So there was a lot of that where it was just taking guys off and putting them back on. And so, yeah, I definitely got a lot out of that.
Being such a long process, and I imagine, like you said, kind of, tough to get everything compiled together. Is this something you would attempt again down the line?
Yeah. I call it there was definitely a lot of, it's the project of love and hate, in this one. The hours and put into this, I definitely, from what I understand, looking back, it was a lot bigger undertaking than expected. To actually, I started, it took me exactly 1 year. So I started May 28th and finished mix and mastering by June 4th of that next year. And, but yes, to answer your question, we're going to start the In Theory record in April. And then we're going to start a new GoGo record at the end of May.
Oh, wow.
And we'll have some bigger surprises on this second one as well. And all I can tell people is just, if you go to the GoGo site and see our roster, you'll pretty much get an idea, of who will be on it. And there's probably still another list of about 125 people that want to be on this type of record. So it's, I think at least I can do another volume 3 or 4 if all goes well.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to do this with us.
Again, I appreciate your support, and I'm glad you support, and I hope you like the record and your fans and your listeners like it as well.
There you go, Mike Mostert of GoGo Tuners. He's got the new album that came out 5 or 6 months ago. Mike Mostert and the GoGo Tuner Family album. So check that out. Like you heard there in that interview, it's got a ton of different genres going on, and it's not like when some people try to do that, it just comes off as someone trying to do that. This is authentic, and it sounds great.
Definitely.
And they definitely pulled this off. So check out the album if you have not. A huge thank you to Jody Best of Best Bet Promotions. And, of course, a huge thank you to Mike for taking some time out to talk to us there. Something else to plug real quick. We just recorded an interview with Ivan DePrume of Big News. And, of course, as the original drummer for White Zombie.
Right.
And we've got that interview coming up here soon, but it'll also feature a written interview that we did with Sean, the original bass player,
yes.
or the only bass player of White Zombie.
Right. And how are we going to do that? Did we ever figure out how we're going to do that?
I think we're just going to read it ourselves.
Okay. Oh, no, that's fine.
Because we had talked about getting someone in to read it.
We talked about a million different things. It doesn't matter to me. We'll read them. Fuck it.
Yeah. Because we've had a couple offers in the past of doing, email interviews, and I was just like, just kind of like.
Yeah.
But then I guess because they were, I don't know why I just said because it was just kind of like, that's not what we do, We could have put it on our website, I guess, but.
Yeah.
With Sean, I was just like, of course, let's do this.
Yeah, I get that.
And then we got the chance to talk to Ivan, which is really cool. So we're going to have that coming here in the next week or so.
Yeah, we're going to make it like a White Zombie spectacular.
Yeah, the White Zombie Rhythm Section Spectacular.
Yeah.
But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And we've also got some other things in the works, as we always do. And yeah, if this is your first time listening, we appreciate it. We've had 250 plus extra episodes before this one you can go check out. We've had on everyone from Vivian Campbell of Def Leppard, and Dizzy Reed of Guns N' Roses, Kenny Hickey of Typo Negative, Dave Elfson of Megadeth, Gene Simmons of Kiss, Bruce Kulick, formerly of Kiss. There's a long ass list.
Oh, it goes on and on.
Yeah. So just dig through that and check all that stuff out. We're also on YouTube at the Thunder Underground. Subscribe there. We've got a lot of videos that are separate from what we do on the podcast. You can listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, all the other stuff that you can listen to podcasts except for Spotify. And yeah, thethunderunderground.com is where everything's at. So get on there, follow, like, share, tweet, do whatever. It helps us out. All right. Once again, thank you to DEB Concerts, Med Farm, and Mike Mostert. And until next time,
wash your hands.
Thunder Underground, y'all.